Welcome to the 8th episode of Adventures in Job Searching. My name is Drew Styling. We're happy to have our first guest from the Northwest today. Glennon Wright is on the show. And we are so excited to get people from all around the country. I'm in Pittsburgh myself, but certainly, one thing I want to do is, show that it's not just a regional thing, show that it affects people all around the country. So, Glennon, could you, talk a little bit about maybe what you were doing so recently and why you have the dubious honor of being on Adventures in Job Searching?
Yeah, for the past, I've always been in creative agency, so in the past 5 years, though, I've been at a global agency called Jellyfish. They used to actually be Splash many years ago. They were headquartered out of London, and then Jellyfish acquired them. And they're also headquartered out of London. And then the 2 years we were acquired for the third time from a tech company called Brandtech, who is headquartered out of London as well. My background is always in the creative industry, and I have been the director of integrated production for our global creative department, which has me working on creative projects for top 500 companies in the world. So it's between like Nike, Under Armour, Sonos, Uber, Google, Amazon Studios, and so forth. Lots of big names, lots of big projects, and it has us like inner workings with teams all across the world. So daily routine would be like working with people from obviously our headquarters out of London, and then they pass things to New York. They come to me working with their teams out of Mexico and Madrid and South Africa, and then you pass things over to our APAC region where you'd work with them, and they would pass things around. So you kind of have a 24-hour work cycle because of the 40 offices that we have globally. So you stay quite busy. Time zones are the juggle, and then stress levels are quite high. So been doing that for a little over 4 to 5 years with major success. I was promoted 5 times within the 5 years. So I think if like any kind of KPI, I think that's at least a good one there. But until recently, unfortunately, the U.S. is the easiest region to lay off. So out of any of the regions, so we quarterly over the past 2 years have been doing under layoffs, and then finally I was impacted Christmas of this year. Hit the job market. Understanding it is a bit rough, but it's like one of those things where you really don't know how rough it is until you're in it, and it's an unfortunate scenario when you are. But it's very strange with the advancements of technology and maybe the lack of empathy as well from the company side. You're kind of impacted by as well in a sense, and you kind of understand where people are overwhelmed with the amount of applicants that are coming in, and they're trying to find a way to manage that. And then but in that span, the job seekers have to apply to about, I think it's on average now about 100 per applications. You get a single interview for a first round, and then with that, I think like understanding that these issues are and trying to understand them, and then I'm just been utilizing the LinkedIn community, just trying to set out like a weekly, almost like a blog or diary or anything I'm noticing. To maybe it helps others, maybe it's therapeutic for myself, could be just noise to others. But it's been received positively so far, and I'm currently on my 5th week of searching for my next role. But it's drummed up a lot of conversations, and I've been enjoying just hearing some insight from people. And that's kind of how I think I came across yourself. It's just my weekly narrative and trying to start conversations of things I'm noticing and trends in the industry and the things that I've encountered as well to create some kind of dialogue with others.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving the viewer kind of an overview of what your story is, and I guess I think the new slogan for my podcast should be the podcast that you hope you never have to appear on.
That's a unique tagline. Might have to jazz it up a little bit.
Right. So could you talk about kind of starting in high school, what your career path was that kind of led you into a prominent role in the industry? Starting about high school, what you were thinking about career opportunities to where you got today.
Yeah.
And also, as you say that, if you could talk a bit about what applying for jobs was like previously as you moved along the ladder over the last 20 years or so.
Oh, yeah. I can handle that. I in high school I was a fine art major. I would say like I was always interested in arts, and so like I think I was going to pursue that. So even at some point in high school, I was even taking college courses in fine arts. I think once I finished high school and got out of that, my parents are also photographers too, so I was always kind of in more of a creative industry too. So both of them, and so they'll being around that, and then obviously they're very supportive in that sense and getting into the fine arts world. I think once you get into, sorry,
in that sense, I feel like the most rebellious. I feel like the most rebellious thing you could have done is become an actuary.
they go the opposite direction. I guess it could have been it, or somebody that does.
You're supposed to rebel. You're supposed to rebel against your parents, man. Did you?
Well,
not
I would say
know?
fine arts has to be. It's the most painful way to make a still image. So it takes forever instead of a snap of a shutter. So maybe I'm just going for the more painful way of getting it done, in that sense. But yeah, I did pursue it, and then I think when I went to school to get like a graphic design degree, because of course your parents try to leverage you to help them understand technology, and they're trying to come up with a website at that time, and then you're dabbling in graphic design because there's that transition between. I think whenever I was going to find out, there was a lot of push, and people were trying to figure out how to use the first Illustrator, which makes me feel extremely old to say, and even Photoshop. And he took some of those courses in high school, and even the course directors had no idea what they're doing. They were learning along the way. So I got really interested in that, but then I realized also the financial impact of trying to pursue a career in the fine arts industry was it was going to be a struggle. So I think I started having more interested into the graphic design. So I got an associate's degree in that, and then from there I dabbled in the graphic design industry, which was unique because I think I got bored of things being static. With just like static designs, and it had its own place, obviously, but I wanted to pursue more to see if I was interested in other, and that was I went and got a bachelor's degree at Full Sail University out of Orlando, and then my major was in animation and video production, but it allowed me to pursue like all avenues, from anything from like audio production, CGI, animation, texturing, film school parts, you do film competitions, so got really familiar with all that. And when I finished there, I pursued work in Southern California, which is a lot more work. I went out there, and I think I had 3 jobs. I worked for a photographer doing retouching. I was also a camera operator for a local TV show that would go to like local events, so I was a camera operator. And then I was also a freelance motion designer on the side. So I was doing a lot of that in the beginning, just because I think I came out in the Great Recession, which was like 2009. It was just really hard to find a job, which is ironic of where I'm at right now. And in the case of coming out of college, it was quite a struggle. And then I think I dabbled in as a freelancer for at least 2 to 3 years. And I think just like being your own business just got exhausting after a little bit, and plus being young, you kind of don't make the best decisions in that sense of like marketing yourself and doing all your taxes and headhunting from projects, whenever you're in the middle of a project, like all that diligence it can be exhausting being a one-stop shop as yourself. And then I started getting into ad agencies at that point, and then I just strictly been an ad agency ever since. And I think from small ones, and then I would go in-house every now and again. So like I worked at PlayStation. I was one of their animators and compositors out of San Diego, and I'm not a big video game guy, but so I guess that was kind of helpful. I wasn't really obsessed with the games themselves, but I would do all the on-stage graphics for that was behind the CEO at E3. So quite a lot of pressure whenever there's a big represented person on stage, and everything behind them is things that you create. So you want to make sure it goes through right. I would say that was kind of like, I think, the peak of my motion designer. I didn't think I would go any higher than that, just because it was such a high level stakes position. It was really great work, but it kind of burned me out too. I was working about 83 hours a week, and I was off on Sundays alone, which I guess that was nice of them, just to get me off at least one day. But you could only do that for like 2.5 months, and then you would be completely burnt out. And then maybe 3 weeks later, you'd come back, do it again, and then you would obviously have no social life. So I was like, so I got to the top, and then I think I wanted to pursue, like, because I had a background in so many different facets of design and digital arts, that I wanted to see like other positions, and to that I think you had to take on more responsibility, and with that you become more senior. You start moving up to the roles to like senior designer, or like creative management, and that kind of sense. And with that, a lot of times you have to adopt and embrace any kind of project management is like so important. And I think I nerded out about the organization of that tool and then just understanding like workflows better, because I think just, like I mentioned before, I was freelancing and I just terrible in organizational skills at that point, which it's trained a little bit, maybe at a university, but I think trying to understand the importance of them and what can be done, especially at a scalable factor. I really embraced project management, nerded out, and then I started to play around with different tools, optimizing workflows where you can optimize the usage of like APIs or hot folders on cloud storage. You can even use some code for basic virtual machines for usage. And I really started developing that and got me into bigger agencies. Just the fact that I understood the creation of creative projects from the deliverable side. So when I was at client-facing side for meetings, clients would ask questions about like randomly adding additional deliverables. But I would sit in meetings where people would say there were like the client leads or account directors, and they would not understand what it caused, what it took to create those, and they were like, "Well, we'll get back to you." And then I was like, "Well, it takes this to do that," or I'd slack them on the side, and then all of a sudden you're starting to speak to the clients directly, and you're preventing additional meetings or emails and crap because I came from a creative side of actually either it's like video production, animation, or graphic design, digital design, for whatever it is. I could even like help elaborate on the time it would take. Cost-wise, timeline-wise, I could answer all those questions right there. So I think it made me a utilized tool in the industry of where I came from. And then I was like, I think I worked at a startup for a bit, and it was kind of like a like a LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com, but for the medical industry. And we had to all green screen, creating an entire library. So with that, you had to be quite organized on the setup of that. And I think that's when I started craving and wanting more. Moved to Portland, Oregon. It's the biggest footwear and apparel mecca here. So if you want to get into any of the industry, or there's a lot of ad agencies, I mean, you throw a rock, you'll hit a headquarters for, if it's like Adidas, Columbia, Under Armour, Nike, obviously the big one. There's just so many apparel and footwear places up here. Even studios too, a lot of stop motion animate Leica studios up here, and How Special is also as well. But with that, there's just a lot of agencies here, so you can come up here and find a lot of roles within it. Plus, it's beautiful. Pacific Northwest, being in Portland, Oregon is really nice as well. I started hitting the ground running. A lot of senior level positions for creative production, project director roles, and some of the agencies. Again, I think I started presenting and pitching the ideas of these optimized workflows and how it can work, that it's scalable, and more of like standardizing the ingest of briefs and creative briefs, and setting your creative team and the teams that involve leadership's always up for success, setting people up for success, so that whenever these projects were submitted, we would have easily insight into the resource management side of tools. We would understand the time that it would take for projects, who's assigned, dependables, and all those kind of things, the nerdy stuff. But on the back end, there's a whole bunch of automations happening too, with the deliverable files between client proofing, status levels from our end, offshore vendors being assigned to projects, budgeting, timelines, all that kind of stuff. Having it in a one-stop shop and having it all automated and work together was something I was really utilizing and figuring out and understanding better. So it made me a good tool. And the company I was at before was R. Donnelly, which is a global company. And they had a lot of digital, but they also worked on a lot of print too. So with them, they actually took on my pitch and my workflows that I created and expanded it globally, which was kind of shocking, I guess, to see like an entire organization change because I pitched an idea. So that made me feel more confident in it. And I think I had the opportunity to switch over to Jellyfish, which I think one of my biggest pitches, obviously, that success from being able to understand the creative industry and the deliverables that our clients are asking for, but also the other side of managing the projects themselves and optimizing them and making them as top-notch and improved as it could be, and always looking for another opportunity to make things better. So, and I think I got in there because of that jellyfish. And strangely enough, I pitched the same idea because I saw that they had so many different tools. And they took it on too, and they rolled out my same workflow, a similar workflow. And I obviously learned from a lot of like amazing, talented people around me that also helped refine and understand ways to optimize these workflows even better. Understanding the deliverables and automations that they can do, especially at a localization level, because we're global, and you're working with content managers for copy and. Some of the tools that they have are just amazing. You're working with data engineers out of like South Africa that are very talented people as well. Operations teams, they also have really great things. So I would go to London and I'd work with some of the teams there to do the rollout and implementation of these workflows, and then also the whole time working on my regular projects with clients, with retaining projects and one-off projects with other clients. But yeah, they rolled out the same thing, and I still steamrolling it. But unfortunately, like. Due to, I think, acquisitions and unique, I guess trying to be as politically correct, but unique choices in leadership teams at our company decide to, unfortunately, continuously lay off a lot of the globally, but impact in the U.S., I think, the most I've ever seen. And then, and now we're seeing the market is a lot different and changed, but it went from, to answer that question about the how you would apply for jobs in the past. So it was like you would always email your resume, and I think a lot of times you would be like cold call emails, or just like you'd reach out to anyone randomly, and just email people about positions. And sometimes you'd hear back and get roles, and then sometimes you would see them online from any kind of platform back then. And I don't even remember anymore. Maybe it was like some sites, like even Craigslist at some points, and it was all the way to like an Indeed or Monster, I think back then a bit. You're applying to jobs, but you would almost always hear from a person, and you would always interview. It was all, but it was maybe by phone was a screening, and then you're always in person. And then now it's I would say the unique thing of I've had some interesting ones. I had no idea. Like I applied to a job coming out of like having such a good successful run, and I've referenced it before as like a hot hand at a casino. Like you feel like you're at the top of your game. You're working at, you're developing great projects and work, and you're really making an impact globally, especially on a massive corporation. You're ready to hit the ground running and keep continuing that hot hand. But I feel like the casino's closed. I can't keep playing. So it's a frustrating matter right now, where you really want to make an impact. Things are clicking, you're at the top of your game, so you really want to get out there. So I think that urgency behind me is what keeps pushing me. Like I spend 6 hours a day reviewing either companies, living on LinkedIn pretty much, just to understand any posts, like anybody's posting jobs or going through jobs globally, because I'm completely open to moving internationally for roles, and just having a global impact in any kind of which way, just looking for jobs. And you'll tailor every resume to the job, because you're understanding that. I've heard from others, and then you really have to worry about the formatting. And I didn't realize that there's the ATS formatting, and even the company before, when I was interviewing people, I understood that we did have an ingest system that took on resumes, but I think coming from the creative industry, we would highly rely, and I would look forward to creating a resume, because it's almost like an infographic, and it gives you as you become more senior in your role, you don't get to do as much hands-on designing, you're more critiquing. So it's nice to actually do something that's of your own and making like an infographic, but you can't, because it doesn't parse correctly into these ATS systems. So you really gotta throw away any of the design, which is unique, because I think multiple jobs I've been hired at was because of the design of my resume, because it spoke to the fact that I came as a creative, and people would give compliments on the way it looked. And so it was funny now that I have to go to this like a sync column kind of idea, where it's all laid out in a certain format, and you got like things you can play with bullet points and fonts and maybe some colors here or there, but you have to watch where you put the colors, because sometimes the ingest doesn't read it right. So it is that, I would say that's a little bit of a struggle, having to change your tactics and how your resume looks, because obviously that's your first impression, so you want to knock somebody's socks off if you can, and just let the words do its thing after that too. But people are visual people; they always want to look at something that looks nice. And so yeah, I understand you can't do that, and you have to switch to those platforms. And then I was like, fine, that's one of the things. It's just how the industry is. But the AI scanning, and then you for those resumes, parsing it out, finding out if you're a candidate, and if it's a real job. Sometimes there's these ghost jobs that are out there, which are frustrating too to find out that that's a thing. But once you do get a screening call, sometimes I was more shocked in the AI screenings when they're they're just calling you maybe within 30 minutes of like applying to a job. And you're talking to, I just, very blatantly, it's a robot. You're just talking to like an automated machine kind of thing. It sounds like someone's voicemail service or call hotline kind of thing. And you realize you're talking to someone for 20 minutes. This AI screening tools, and it's in a way a bit of it's impressive. I get it where it can actually respond to some of your questions and maybe follow up questions based on what you said. It is neat. It definitely zaps any personal feeling from it. And then now you're having your screening phone calls or video chats or with others as well happening. So it is just a very unique platform. And then on top of this, when you apply for things, or if you're putting out there that you're open for work on LinkedIn, you're getting hit up by spam like crazy. It's a shocking thing of how many people are spammers out there. When you would think it would be a lead to your to a job in any kind of sense, but most of the time it's a fake thing. And I've actually gotten quite good at understanding the keys to understanding what are fake accounts and people spamming. So I would say those are the factors that are unique for what it is now, and taking you from where I was from, I think, beginning of my career for applying to jobs. But I guess everything changes, but I would understand. I think the U.S. right now is a bit difficult to get in, and as I'm posting on each week LinkedIn, I hear from other people, and I've heard from others that have been laid off way before me, how tough the market is right now. But yeah, so I think there's a long-winded answer to get both of those in.
No, I mean, that's what we hear. I mean, that's what we're here for. I want everyone's unique story. That's what makes it special. You mentioned ghost jobs. That's a hot topic among job searchers. Have you had any encounters with Casper that you feel like you just kind of got the wool pulled over your eyes?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I've taken a deep dive of understanding the industry too, and even like the psychology of interviews. I've had a deep dive of understanding that, and then like what new techniques are happening out there. So I'm highly involved, listening to podcasts, read a lot of postings. So I think like I'm aware of it. It's just until you see it, you don't really understand what it is. But I'm understanding now more than ever that companies are now creating these fake jobs, and you'll see them out there because I look globally, so I don't look locally as much. So I'm able to see like the same companies posting the same role everywhere, and it's trying to make themselves look good in front of investors. So even when they're not looking so great in growth, investors, they want to make them see these postings or see a job, or maybe they show like how many people they're hiring, but they're not really hiring. They're just jobs to look like things are positive in a way whenever some things are not, or whatever it is. But and unfortunately, I was like even hearing like from 4 years ago, I think it was 1 in 8, something like that, was one of those ghost jobs. But now we're looking at like 1 out of 2. So it's like we're at 50% now. That are just ghost jobs. And it's just an impressive number of them, and I track all things. Again, it's that nerdy optimization and workflow stuff in me that I track everywhere I apply. I see it like, so I register if like I had an interview. I even have like percentage ratings of like how good of a candidate I am for the role. And then from like, was it a ghost job? Because you never hear back from them, or you keep seeing the post for like, I don't know, forever. It seems to be that these jobs sometimes keep coming out. Those are a very weird thing to see out there, and I guess I understand. And then some people are actually recruiters. They're just trying to bolster their, I guess, accounts of talent and those talent logs that they create, and they'll sell them too, which is even weirder on that sense too. So jobs are ghost jobs, but they're just trying to get your information so they can sell off you to other recruitment companies or sell them to the companies. Like, here's a bunch of graphic designers, here are a bunch of project managers, and they might have one of the biggest lists in that kind of sense. And I don't know if that's as popular as it sounds, but it sounds like that's some of the stuff they're doing as well. And then some are ghost jobs just to steal information from people, or they're trying to get you to sign like some kind of tax information to get your social and that kind of sense. So seeing a variety of them, it is weird. I know you almost need like some kind of verification or something on some of this stuff, but I don't know what's going to fix that at the end of the day.
What do you feel like, both for yourself and advice to other job seekers, what are the telltale signs that something's a ghost job?
Yeah, so I've seen some where you can look at the person's account, and right away, like it might seem legitimate, it's a photo, but they'll put like jobs. Sometimes they've been at jobs for 20 years, and they've been 6 jobs, and they'll be 20 of them or plus. But based on their photo, they must have Benjamin Button disease because they're super young. So the math doesn't add up for how old they would have to be at work that long. So some of those are very weird. Or they've never posted something. That's another sign on their accounts themselves. And then also the email addresses, they're so fake. They're just random numbers and letters. There's I guess systems where you can create a quick email address, and none of them make any sense. You can search them too. You can search the name because a lot of people will flag them or have comments on it within like Reddit if it's some thing. So I'll search for the email, the name, look at their LinkedIn profile, and so forth. Because I think at the end of the day, it's like in our industry, you have to be in LinkedIn, so you have to review that stuff, and it's just really odd that someone in this entire time has never posted or liked anything on there. So there's no activity in that kind of sense. It's a fake ghost job. And if you see, like I mentioned before, if you see that same job listing 1,000 times, that's probably it. So you can easily search on LinkedIn for the company and the role, and you can see how many times it's posted if you're not already filtering for a remote or global review of job positions. That's another way. So yeah, I guess finding out how many times they're posting that job, Googling the thing, and checking them out on LinkedIn is probably your best keys for it so far. It's worked for me. But don't think I can hear you there. Sure.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, my internet just paused up. Specifically, and that's great. And I've gotten those, same thing, messages from recruiters. And again, telltale sign, a recruiter's never emailing you almost never from a Gmail, from an Outlook. It's almost always, at their recruiting agency. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And by the way, Benjamin Button, very timely movie reference. Great job on that. Specifically, though, with the companies where it's not a scam per se, but it's just a ghost job, how can you tell if a company is or isn't serious before you apply to a job?
Yeah, that is tough to understand if they're serious or not, to be honest. Yeah, the biggest red flag, it has to go back to that thing. If they've been spamming the position at multiple cities. Like I'll call out people right now. Monk is definitely a competitor to my company previously. I'll see them all the time. It'll just be like every major city across the U.S. will have the same exact production director posting everywhere. That falls into my world, so I've seen that one directly. There's a few other agencies that are doing that where you'll see it, but that one I can definitely call out because I see it probably every day. That they're doing that, and that is a sign that they're obviously not serious by any means. They're just either collecting information or they're trying to look good for the investors. It's one of those two. Yeah, I've seen that's the tell sign to me that it's not serious by any means. And I mean, it don't hurt if you want to throw one out there if it's maybe that easy apply thing and your resume is already pretty bolstered for that position. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt at the end of the day, but I would not. Wait to hear back because they never do respond.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that job searching is different in the creative space versus, just to me the quote normal job is like, financial analyst at a Fortune 500 company. That's kind of to me the sort of the baseline of just a nice normal job. So how's the creative industry different in terms of what job seeking is like there?
Yeah, I definitely noticed from the industry related. So some positions like project manager, production director, they can float from any industry. But the actual like creative, like art directors, creative directors, VP of creative, all those kind of roles, those are definitely tied to just our industry. But then the creative roles, like graphic designer, or motion designer, digital art, or camera operator, or all those guys, those roles are quite unique, and we're seeing some impact where AI is coming to a place where it can create some of this stuff originally, not editing or tailoring. I would say the original content for AI creation for under 8 seconds is pretty unique. It definitely has its own stylized look, and so it's a sign. But if you're wanting something edited, it's not a tool that really works well at all. But I've seen that impacting those roles. So you're seeing a lot more times things offered as contract or part-time, rarely full-time for the actual content creators. Like, so I'm starting to see that as a sign, and I'm seeing when layoffs are impacted, those roles are some of the first to go, and they're only now hiring when an art, maybe a kind of, like I've been on many RFPs for new clients trying to get new contracts, and whenever you win that contract, like even I have a scope, like we're gonna have to hire 7. A lot of people will hire 7 contractors rather than a full-time person. That is more impactful in the U.S. just because they have to pay benefits. So and the salaries are higher here so due to the cost of living. So that is something I only see as a U.S. trend. Overseas, yes, I see more full-time roles or part-time roles, but never contract in that sense, as it's not really as much of an issue. I would also notice that in our industry, I've seen trends, especially coming out of our company, where they're merging multiple roles. Where they're like even myself, because I had the ability to take on a lot of responsibility, and I would take on roles of like account director, where I'm working with the client directly as a client lead, and the liaison to the internal teams and the creative teams and leadership, and then also working as a production director, project director. And then implementation director, all at the same time. That was fine, but I'm noticing now, I don't know if it was my fault in the kind of that sense of being able to do that, but I'm starting to see them merging roles all into one. I think our company itself was laying off people, and then coming out of Brazil, there's this new role out of that office where they were like client partnership maybe or something was what it was called, but they were acting as a project manager, production director, and account manager all at the same time as a mixed role. I would say that it's tough because if you're not trained or have background in that, I don't see that being as successful as it should be. So that's I guess one unique thing about any roles that aren't the content creators themselves and the creatives. But yeah, I would say U.S. You see more of those part-time roles or the contract in that sense. And then if it isn't that, it's maybe companies are trying to use AI. I would say with the impact of AI as a creative thing, it's not as good as a lot of people think. So at the other side, you're having these creatives, maybe at the design director, art director, creative director roles, polishing and fixing things, and then they're reposting them onto these platforms, making it look like the platform itself created exactly what you're wanting. I would say, just from having direct insight as companies that use the AI creative tools, they're just not seeing the impact as what people think they are. I think whenever you see something online, or maybe you created something yourself original, creating something original is great, but whenever you really get a finite brief from a client and they want something exactly right, and they're wanting you to edit something from that, they're not coming out good at all. And I'd say we're at probably the top level company, and I would say we have the top tools, and I'm still not seeing an impact of AI to the level that I think maybe they talk about in the news. So I would say that's maybe just some of the insight on how the AI might impact some of those creative roles. But
one thing obviously, one thing I don't want this podcast to be is an advice show. There's a million of those. They're run by recruiters. They probably say a lot of the same things. So I'm going to kind of go down the 5 most common job search advice, and I want you to let me know if you found it to be helpful or just kind of a hot air. So this is what Google says the 5 most common job search tips are. Number 1, optimize your resume and profile. Have you done that, and have you gotten anything out of it?
Yeah, I would say uniquely, like when you get a severance package or when you're laid off, they offer you some of these kind of like resume writing things. And I was given someone to help, optimize it and write it. I would say that I did that in parallel with like a chat GPT or something like that to see what it did. And I didn't see much of a difference from what the company services that they use. I'd say the company and services are a little cold when the way they write some of the stuff to optimize say your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your thank you, your cover letters. And randomly, like the ChatGPT was a little warmer, and I would say a more genuine personality. I would say that the personality wasn't mine that they were doing, so like I would come back in and change a lot of it. I just really want to like call out certain design techniques or maybe workflows stuff I do, application maybe stuff that you do. A lot of it tangible with quotable numbers is always highly important. And I would say like a lot of those services do leave that stuff out when everybody wants numbers and data to back up whatever you're saying. Because you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you got to have some tangible metric or KPIs that you've been able to achieve. So I would say I did that, and being able to say that I've had compliments on it or any which way, not that I can think of. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe.
I guess I'm more interested. Do you think it was? Do you think? Again, I'm trying to figure out if these common advice things, if you think they're helpful.
I think you should do.
So, do you feel like optimizing your resume has been helpful?
Yes, I do think it's helpful. I don't think it hurts by any means. I think the more you can polish something, the better, and can continuously polish it. It's almost impossible to, I would say, tailor it for every single company, but you do now in these days have to tailor every resume, every cover letter to every role that you apply for. That is definitely a truth. So I would say optimizing that stuff on your LinkedIn, just try to make it as broad as possible and to show off everything and be as robust and lengthy as you want. Resume, you kind of want to keep every 10 years of your career to a page, and then apply to whatever job it's tailored. So yes, I recommend it for applying, and then LinkedIn I would say can be as lengthy. A lot from my network, and people are receiving things positively. Some people are, it's I'll see their posts and it's exactly the thoughts I had. The other day I saw a woman posting something in it too, and it did feel good to hear that I wasn't alone, that other people had the exact sentiments of like they're so proud of the work that they did, now they can't hold on to their work in some kind of way, and I feel the exact same way with that too, but sorry, I think I got split off. But a friend of mine from London posted a job, or posted my name or tagged my name into a comment, and it was a CEO that posted it. And within 3 hours, I messaged the person. They said that they had a creative role. They don't know if it's at the more senior level that I was at. And he said, "Any thoughts?" And I said, "Well, let's learn more about the brand and see how maybe I can connect with your company." He was like, "You want to get on a call?" And it was beautiful. It was within 3 hours, I was able, just from a comment, get on a call, and I had no ATS resume parsing application I had to worry about. I had no AI screening where I had to talk to a robot machine sense, or wait weeks to find out if it was a real job. And I talked to this person directly, the CEO. So kudos to that company for the response time, and the person being as active as they are to try to bring in roles and making it a humanized experience too. So that is just showing like a network thing. And then I've had colleagues like send me direct messages with jobs. Comically though, because I do pretty much live on LinkedIn all the time just to see, because you have to apply to job within like hours, because sometimes they'll take them down in less than 24 hours. So my constant being on LinkedIn is only due to the fact of understanding how the market trends are, that you do have to apply within that so many times. I can't fix it the way it is. I'm just trying to go along with it and try to get in any which way, and I'm trying every avenue. So understanding that, I do have about like 24 hours to apply to a job, tailor the resume, understand stuff about the company, and make myself stand out to them. Keeps me glued to it a bit, probably too much, but it is what it is until I find a new place to land. But I would say, all that's a factor into that network. It's a very, again, long-winded answer for that. But I've seen great connections and people that don't even know, like someone I didn't even know the other day tagged me in a job that was for something. I just only recently became acquaintance with them, talked to them a little bit. So it's been really nice getting some feedback and tips and expanding the network right now. So I was surprised, and I was more reluctant to use it and expand upon a LinkedIn network, as it is not something I am great at. I'm just more of a guy that likes to support people by reposting jobs, as hopefully that will help others or tag people on those. That was kind of, I think, my past experience. But now that I'm in that job hunt, I think my activity has changed, and so far been received positively. I was kind of surprised that it's been received as positively as it has. I've been posting like 4 weeks of just dialogue of what I've been noticing and things. Maybe it's relatable, and seeing what kind of advice I can get from others. So it's been kind of nice. And it does, at a time whenever you're down a lot, it is nice to see how your network kind of picks you up a bit and leaves a lot of compliments, and old colleagues come out of the woodwork that you haven't got to talk to in forever, like a friend that works at Google. I haven't got to meet with them in a while, and they're so great. They're so nice and kind, and you got to remember that just by the chats. They helped me referral for a job. I had few people at Nike refer me for jobs that are just like acquaintances that I had. I had good friends for Adidas refer for jobs, and it's unique. I think in my entire career, I've never got a job because of a friend or knew someone within a company. So I'm still hoping one day that would be fun to actually get one of those, because I hear that from everyone. I think even my last agency I was at, a good part of the Portland office was all the same people that went to the same university together. So I know how they all worked there. They were very talented. So there is no like person that shouldn't have been there. But it was just comically, because it's like, I obviously know how you got the job, because you knew someone from school. But they happen to be very, very talented people too. So I've never had that yet. So I would hope one day that it pays off. But I find it very highly effective to use the LinkedIn network. There might be other networks that are useful too, but this is the only one I know is as mainstream for my industry.
The third one was use targeted search strategies. Do you feel like you've been doing that?
Targeted search. Yeah, I mean, you're at the whim of whatever the filters are that you can use for jobs. I'd say mine's become frustrating in the sense of creative industry sometimes doesn't come up as a filter in a field. So a lot of it's either around marketing in a sense, or design, technology. If they even have design, most of the time it's technology. My roles are like director of production, director of project management, executive producer, and implementation director. And they actually fall into a lot of different industries. So I would say I haven't found good use of tailoring in a sense, because the filters are not there for my industry. And whenever jobs are posted, sometimes maybe the person that posted the roles didn't fill out the information correctly in the back end, so it's not filtering because they didn't fill out that information. I see that more times than not, so unfortunately I have to cast a pretty wide net. But I'd also say I don't find a lot of other sites outside LinkedIn, unfortunately, unless you follow the career site of a company to produce roles that I am looking for. And then so many of them out there, like I don't know if you saw, like one of the posts I had is about like all these paid platforms. You paying someone to get a job, to find a job, or on these sites. It's weird. LinkedIn obviously has that too, where the premium thing where you're paying to get a job. So that's a weird trend. I guess that could have been something I said earlier, but finding how much now you have to spend money to find a job, which it's just a head scratcher still. I don't understand it, but I think for the job search part,
that was on the front.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. The trend of paying to find jobs.
Oh, interesting. I'll check that out then.
Yeah. Crazy. The fourth one, interview prep. What does interview prep mean to you? How do you feel like you like to prepare effectively for interviews?
Yeah, I like spending the night before and then research as much as I can about the company. I would say, because of the industry that it is, you do have to just look at the plot lines of the role itself to see if you do want to work for the company. Because it's hard to get in. But once you do get your first round, like I'm now averaging about like 2 to 3 first round interviews a week of lately. and then trying to get to that second round. And then I think maybe 3 or 4 of them probably in the past 4 weeks for the second rounds. But it is pretty tried and true. For every 100 jobs you apply for, you get 1 interview. It's pretty sure close to that standard right now. But with every time, I think I research as much as possible once I have the interview ready, because a thought might pop in your head later about what you want to say. So I think the most earliest I'm a big pre-production guy, so I like to get as much preparation as possible. Not saying you have to do all of it 100% at once. I just like chipping away at it. And then thoughts come in my head of things I want to say or how to pitch myself as what I can do for that company, and bringing my experience to your company is a benefit, and how I pitch that, and see whatever the holes are in the company too. There's like things on Glassdoor if you want to understand maybe some red flags about the company. Those are always important, but a lot of it sometimes it could be just a lot of venting. But you can read even on like Reddit, there's stuff about the companies, some LinkedIn things. You can comment, or you can reach out to people on LinkedIn, which I do a lot. Out of the blue. I mean, worst case scenario, they don't answer. That's fine. People are busy. People sometimes don't use it, but it doesn't hurt to reach out to people that work there, just to get insight about the company. Maybe understanding like things that like I know something about an agency right now that I'm interviewing for, just because someone in my network did work there, and they said that they're very unorganized, and I specialize in that. So I know I can destroy whatever they're working at. Then I can figure out what works. I've done it twice on a global level. So I'm super confident to the point of cockiness that I know I can do it. I've done it so many times, and I'm really good at it. I wish I had other magic skills besides this, but for some reason this stuff clicks with me. So this is something I know I can do. So I'm definitely going to bring that up a lot, because I know something that they need and something that they've been bad at since I think that 3 years ago. They still struggle with it daily, unknown why, but whatever it is, I know I can help out with the company. So those are researching things, but I knew that because I've messaged somebody that worked there and found some stuff out. So that was helpful, and I did read about it on Glassdoor too. But it was just like it validated the source of it because it was mentioned more than once from others. I do it as soon as I hear from back the role. I chip away at it, because thoughts will pop in my head randomly, and I don't want to do it all at once and do it like 30 minutes before the call, because I feel like that's probably not the best use of your time, because you never know when something will pop into your head that you want to bring up. Or but I do, you really need to learn about the history of the company. I think they love, like, when you I was interviewing one that was in Canada, Vancouver, BC, and I found out they were like one of the top places to work for the past 5 years. They've been getting some kind of award. And I guess that's not everywhere, all the information, but I found that out. But I would even use like ChatGPT to give me a diagnosis of the company, ask some questions, see if that worked. I researched the company, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, even Google has reviews randomly. I do like to do my homework and research. I do like research and study about this crap. I mean, even when I buy stuff, I think I read a ton of reviews. So I don't know why that wouldn't translate to somewhere I'm going to try to spend my career and work at. And I do like to do it. I would say, like, don't wait till the last minute and try to do it overall, and spread a wide net, I would say too. But at the end of the day, you got to be your sales representative too, so be able to sure you can pitch yourself. I know everybody's not a great interview person, so if you're not a great interview person, make sure that resume is amazing. In that sense, I do have like a weird pivot to that. Have you been seeing like the trend of the AI tools on your phone, because people have to share their screens? This might be a little bit off topic, but it's a weird trend I'm noticing where
it certainly seems way more and more common.
Yeah, it's the AI doomsday loop that I've been reading more about this, and it's the fact that to get a job, sorry to take us off subject, but it's you have to tailor things for AI screening, and you're talking to an AI screener, and so people are using a tool, because like some industries where they make you share your screen, and it'll be, so they put the app on their phone instead of desktop. That was because it's already changed from that as like a way to fix this and a workaround. And it's just basically a teleprompter that they're reading off all these answers to. So it's like AI screen. You're talking for your AI thing's writing your resume. The AI is getting your first round screening interview, and then teleprompting AI software is answering this to you just so you can get that second round interview for companies. It's this weird AI doomsday loop, which is definitely a problem. I think someone on my LinkedIn commented about it. It's like, whoever fixes this is going to make a lot of money in some kind of way, because that has to be fixed in some kind of a sense. But and people just keep finding other workarounds to make this work. But yeah, that's a unique one I found out recently. Yeah, staying resilient. Yeah, I'm just trying to not get it down, because I mean, I seen major successes. I was saying like before, I'm that guy at the casino with the hot hand. I just want to keep playing because I'm seeing great victories on my end, and the client levels I'm working at. I would say like what I was striving for before was working with the top clients in the world and working on the biggest projects in the world and having a global impact. I can check all those boxes off. I'm really happy about, but I want to stay at this level and keep continuing to work like that. And I would say like maybe in that aspect, maybe I want to go more in-house and maybe not agency level, just due to this seeing how the U.S. industry is. I'd love to go international too, to maybe avoid some of these issues here too, and then just to maybe expand my resume too by going international. So I think like that's something that's driving me. I would say. I'm also a guy, definitely, I said it earlier, I think hard work does pay off. I think the more you put in is whatever you put in is what you get out of it. It does seem painful at times, and I would say, yeah, it is daunting. But I have seen some victories that I need to acknowledge, and I should acknowledge that, like, of course, like I mentioned, being able to get a CEO on the call within 3 hours. I mean, at the end of the day, that means whatever I got online and my resume and my LinkedIn is looking good enough that and people can see that the successes I had, that it's worthwhile, and so that I'm being brought in. And I would say that I'm starting to see trends now from applying in January, and now late January and February. I'm averaging 2 to 3 interviews a week. And then so it is that first quarter, so I'm starting to see trends. So I can see like whatever I'm doing is paying off a bit. But I haven't been snagged yet, so I can see that. And I've also had previous colleagues also reaching out like, hey, this agency I've been doing freelance work in, they really need people like you from time to time. Is it okay if I throw your name out there? And it's like, absolutely. Yeah, I just continuously doing the work at the level that I'm doing and making a good impact. So I would say that that drive of wanting to continue my work as successful as I was, because I know like my layoff wasn't part of the lack of merit or the lack of work I was doing, which it was just due to how the company was led, and so like they're having big impacts and moving roles to different areas and different regions. So that's why. But I know, and just based off of what I've done in the past already, that I've been extremely successful, and I'm just looking to continue that. The feedback I'm having is not like I need to change or update it, or the feedback it is like, can you keep me up to date to where you're at and how you're doing things? Because even when I was training coverage when I left the company that I was at, there so many people were just overwhelmed by what I was doing that they were bringing in multiple people. We even had leadership teams that were gathering together, having meetings like, how are we going to cover this because it's leaving. And I mean, in a way, it was a compliment because it showed like what I didn't even realize how much work I was doing and at what level I was doing it too. So I would think that in its own was really great to hear, just because of the impact it took on resourcing teams just to cover what I was doing based on so many different clients too at the same time, that some of these people can only handle one of them. I think that was kind of neat, and I was doing all this myself. But I was surrounded by extremely talented people too, so I'd say that too. But it does show merit into the work I was doing, so I know I was doing great work, and I know it'll pay off at the end if I just keep putting the hard work in. So I think that's that's what I'm trying to get to. The perfect company, like I don't know what that looks like. I've never had a perfect company. I've heard of people talking about how they had that perfect company they wanted to work for, and they always wanted to get back, maybe if they ever left them. I haven't seen that before. I mean, everything has its goods and bads, and I would say that I do have a non-professional obsession with baseball, and I've always wanted to break into the baseball industry, which is it's comically because I've met with like CEOs here in Portland. Oh, that's another networking thing too. Like I meet face to face with people if they're in my area, if they're nice. It's so amazing. Sometimes people will want to meet up. They just might be a professional colleague in a sense too, and they'll want to grab coffee. Everybody loves coffee, so excuse to maybe talk shop, talk work, and maybe motivate some people. Some people are. I've done it myself, so I've met with a few CEOs. Some are baseball related. I do know people in the industry, but unfortunately, I've never been in it. And I think in the city areas I live in, I don't really have a robust baseball presence in that sense, unless it's apparel. So I've always wanted to get into that. I would say that would be the dream job is to work within or in connection to the baseball industry. That has me traveling and trying to see all the ballparks, as I'm halfway there. I got a few more to go to see all of them. So that would be a great job. I think just being passionate about the work you do, and that's why I stay in the creative industry. Is just I'm passionate about it. I've never really dabbled. I would say maybe like renewable energy would be the only other industry I'd probably be interested in, because I'd be passionate about it. So finding an industry that you're passionate about, I know right now it's hard to be picky in a sense for some things. If you do have the availability or the financial support in a sense where you can wait it out, I totally recommend that. But I would, that's my drive to try to get into there. If like, hopefully to stay within the creative industry, doing the work that I've already been doing and impacting people how I have impacted global levels at 2 agencies now in a row, is like what I want to continue to do. And the dream one would definitely be somewhere within baseball in some kind of capacity internationally, actually, even better. Baseball internationally, I would say that would be the greatest ticket. So if anybody watching wants to bring me out internationally, do some kind of role within baseball that's creative related too, that'd be even better. But I guess that's that Venn diagram of all that great coverage of the perfect scenario. So I think that hopefully answers it, and maybe hope some of this helped others. It's weird. I actually just gave a speech maybe 3 months ago at my university to alumni. So I had a similar format to this, same chair, where I spoke to all these people coming up and giving advice in that kind of sense. And I did have some students reach out and alumni people reach out, which is kind of nice. So hopefully that helped. I mean, I don't know. I don't ever advertise myself as a guy with all the answers. I'm more of a actions speak louder than words kind of guy. So I just try to do the work, and hopefully people recognize it in that kind of sense. But at the end of the day, I like I mentioned before, networks are super important. So to wrap it up, if anybody in the network did want to discuss or talk or suggestions or want to snag me up at their company, I'm more than happy to entertain that. Or feel free to reach out, and if you're local, I'm always happy to get coffee too. So, but I appreciate the platform, Drew. I like that you're doing this with others. I know the industry is weird, and I the other day, like, I ran out of NPR content that I was listening to for the job hunting and understanding the job market more. I actually have run out of stuff to listen to because a lot of it's not relevant and recent. So I do appreciate that this one, like I listened to your last episode with Tabe, with the person that was very well spoken, and I realize now I'm following this person that is a very well spoken person. I can't say that I'm great at that. I also have a tendency to mumble too, so I don't think that helps as well. So hopefully there's subtitles on this one, and maybe it can help others. But I appreciate the platform for like this, especially people like me that are hunting out there. Especially, I think you had a VP person, director level as myself, and like to hear from anybody everywhere to understand maybe what's working, what's not working, or encouragement in that kind of sense. But I'm just like a sponge right now, just trying to absorb as much content. So I like maybe just sharing what I found a little bit, and then if anybody else has any other information, I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Sure, thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. Have a good one.